Ready. When you.
You ready?
Yes.
You go.
Going.
You good?
Think so.
All right, let's we start this meeting. You all join me in pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So. Should call this meeting to order, and the first thing on the agenda is meeting minutes from February 2nd, 2026. Anybody want to make a motion on that?
Make a motion, they're approved as written.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All those in favor? All opposed? Good.
Easy.
We have, some new business. Lot 06, map 06, lot 030, 100 Main Street, Bangor Savings Bank wants a request for an approval of extension to the permit for an alteration to the parking lot.
Yep.
And I don't have any problems with that. I really don't. I mean, it's their property at this point.
It's, and I mentioned that we got this letter last meeting and. The one thing that came up, and I just want to make sure it's clear that an extension would be for the project. That was, as it was approved, it's just.
Yeah.
Instead of the board's approval expiring, it would just continue for an extra year.
Unaltered.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what was approved remains approved.
Yep.
No changes right.
No, good with that. Anybody want to make a motion on that? Or
So, okay, I understand that the bank has the property up for sale, but not the parking lot. So that's gonna be,
Whole thing.
is that the case?
is that
Do you
the
know
case?
that for a fact?
Well, I thought I looked at the listing and it didn't. But is it the whole thing? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the listing, I didn't see that it
Yeah.
included.
I thought the same thing, but I think it's that in my head, the property is a lot bigger than. But like when I looked at it, it was like 1 point something acres, and I was like, oh, that's just the front part, but the whole, I believe it's for the whole thing. If it ends up with two different owners, then it gets into a weird situation, we'll have to,
Well, if they
figure out
alter the
who's gonna-
plan, they alter the plan at all, they gotta come back anyway.
right, so.
So was there a public access component approved, or was there a contingency that in the time when the bank was not in business, that the public could use those spaces? Was that
They had said that was available to use by the public.
So-
They said that, we did not put.
but
that
it
in
wasn't
there.
as a permit approval?
No.
We did talk about it,
No.
that's all.
Yeah,
That's good, yeah, there was, at some point, there were discussions and they got dropped before the board even approved the application about. Some of that property going to the town, but that never happened,
no, but there was talk about whether people could access those parking spots in the off hours, you know?
basically, my recollection was that the applicant more or less said they weren't going to be enforcing it. Heavily, but the way that I look at that is that can change at any point. It's their private property. If they wanna restrict it tomorrow, they can. So there were no like rights for public to park back there or just go back there. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're shooting anybody away, but they still have that right if they wanted to,
I
yeah.
mean, is that something that the board would wanna to put on as a condition for reapproval, or?
No, all this is doing is asking to
Yeah.
extend the
Yeah.
existing project that we approved.
Yeah,
We can't amend it here, they can't pass it on to anybody else.
Yeah.
If they don't do it the way it's within the plan, then that's what this is about, so.
right.
But they can pass it on to someone else if someone buys it?
No,
They can't
they
change
have to, they have to come back to the town, cause it's not under them.
They're gonna follow what we've set up.
So is that true?
Well, I think that they might be able to, if someone else buys the property, they could still redo that parking the way that the board has said.
Well, they have to come back and apply for the same thing. They can't do it under the bank's name.
Yeah.
This permit is issued to the bank.
Right, and I think that, but I think it would, like, the rights are gonna run with the land, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm.
And that's why they want us to approve it, is so that they can sell it with this plan. So,
Yeah, and I think
Right.
that way, whatever rights they've got in terms of, really just repaving that parking lot, they can they can pass on, so, which is not uncommon, a lot of, that happens a lot where, like, a developer essentially will come, get a property entitled, and then go and turn around and kind of sell that to an actual builder. So, you know, I don't know, I haven't found anything in our that says like explicitly, yes, that's okay, or that that's not okay, but as far as my understanding is like, if they were to sell the property, even if that new person came in and said, I wanna do this, you know, I wanna pull the permit for it, I don't really see how the town could tell them no. You know, now, the board doesn't have to extend this application. The thing though is, I don't know if there's any reason not to. It sounds as though the ordinances have changed or anything. So if they come, basically, if a different person comes back and submits the same application, the board can't really say no. Because they have to, you know, you have to treat everybody equally, and you've already made the decision that that application is. It meets the standards of the ordinance. So anybody who comes to propose that exact same thing. You know, you kind of have to logically have to approve it, so. Do they need to come in and officially say, oh, we're transferring those rights to somebody else? I don't know, that's a good question for an attorney, but my understanding is that if the board extends this approval, then when they sell it, the new owner could build that plan, and then or not build that plan. And then if they want to do anything else, they'd have to come back to the board and say, oh, we want to change something, or we want to do something totally different, or so.
Yeah, I mean, they put fair expense into developing that plan and following up on it too,
Yeah,
so. Like I say, once again, it doesn't change the plan, to
right.
extend it, just giving them a year's extension.
all right, I just want my fellow board members to know that you're not necessarily. That anybody could do that, you know, that it's not
Anybody,
dependent on or Bangor Savings,
Right,
that it could be whoever.
yeah, but they have to do what was approved.
You know, I guess if we approve that plan, it doesn't matter who builds it.
Right,
no, it doesn't matter,
And there was,
and we can't tell people with private property. That the town wants them to have public access to it.
Right.
You can't do that.
right. I mean, we can always ask and have those kinds of
Yeah, you can always
conversations,
ask.
but
Yeah.
like for this. I don't know, I mean,
because they had talked about having a
I think,
picnic table in the back, you know, they
Yeah.
made this big deal about, you know, having a little picnic area in the back at the waterfront on Cottrell's Cove there. And,
and I don't think that's, anything's changed in that, for me, it's just, there's nothing formal that says.
it was all informal.
Yeah, which was the case with everything back there. Where like the parking and access, everything seemed to be a handshake agreement. So this did formalize a little bit of it, of like, now we know where most of the property lines are. Who's got access where, but. So,
And did it affect the other rights of way back
nothing,
there?
no rights of way change as far as. I recall under this application, I know, like, I had spoken with, the Davies about, they had some private conversations about possibly extending and formalizing the courtyard street with the bank, because the bank, I believe, owns most of it. But that was separate, that was, yeah, that was separate,
So, but that's not in this,
no, and it was basically again, as far as I can recall, the board's approval didn't depend on them executing or formalizing anything about courtyard or any of the other streets that are there. It was basically, it met the ordinance, it was approved, and then after the fact, I had heard that they were also trying to kind of shore up a couple other things. I think probably just, for like good housekeeping kind of things. So,
We good? Anybody wanna make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve the 1-year extension as requested by Bangor Savings Bank.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
so, and I just want to post? Yeah, okay, that's, I just wanted to make sure that's.
Why are you here?
Yeah, so I just wanna make sure we're talking, is that approval an extension from, the April 7th, 2025? It will extend 1 year from the original approval?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
okay, great, I wanna make sure that we'll write that down and make sure that's clear. That way in a year. It comes down to the wire.
In 2 years, they're probably gonna have to do something different.
Right.
They have to come in, come back in.
Yeah, and that's, I don't think that. I'm sure it's gonna depend on who, if they sell it, who they sell it to,
They might
whether
not
they
even
want
sell
to.
it in a year.
Right, so this is just like that ball's kind of still in
It's a
play.
piece of property.
What's that?
It's a pretty major piece of property.
Yeah, so, okay, Leslie, you got all the details on that? Excellent.
thank you.
Alright, you, and then the agenda, okay, so,
The next one's map 003 lot 040 671 Main Street. LLC, application for site plan review.
yes. Just a couple details on this that,
There's a lot of
little,
details.
yeah, but as far as like procedurally, one is, I had sent out a request to get public notice put in the newspaper. But it only appeared once before this meeting, and it was required to be twice, and I had sent it, and there must have been a mix up in the, wires crossed somewhere, so. Today is supposed to be scheduled for a public hearing. I wanted to put that to the board to say. Do you like, I believe, and we can confirm this, that the letters to abutters went out, and that just, it didn't appear in the newspaper twice, once before, once more than 7 days before the public hearing, which is what's required, so. I don't know, that's kind of like. We can,
That's a legal issue that I don't know how to deal with.
yeah, that's, I mean, essentially, we can, one option is hold the public hearing. And depending on how the conversation goes. Great, that can be it. It's probably not the most, fair thing.
You could do.
No, we
So
can't, we can't hold a public.
Right, what does it say, Michael, that you have to do what now?
It says there needs to be notice, 2 notice in the newspaper, 1 at least 7 days before the meeting. There was 1 that was in, but it was in Thursday's paper, there was nothing before that, so it doesn't meet that.
Well, I don't think that we can do the public
So,
hearing tonight, just
I-
because of that.
I wanted to give you all
That's my take.
the decision on that.
I agree with you, Neil.
What we can do though is we can basically redo it for the next meeting. Assuming that's what everybody. You all want to do. Okay, and then everything else I imagine we'll be able to, we'll touch on as we go through all of this. Me. So. Right. so there's a couple of things, there's two documents that I identified that I wasn't sure, I wanted to get the board's take on it. One is demonstration that the project will comply with applicable noise and air quality standards. It's a submission requirement, it's also kind of a performance standard. And then the other was a scenic assessment and landscaping plan for the site, consistent with the recommendations of the comp plan, which, again, based on what we've got, I want you all to determine whether those submission standards are, those submission requirements are met. And then there's a number of things that seemed like they were potentially not applicable, given that there's no buildings being proposed, so I don't think we need building plans and floor plans and things like that.
No,
I do have a question, well, when we bring the applicant up. I have not seen anything that identifies or indicates that there's district sites, buildings, structures, or objects that are significant in American history, architecture, archaeology, engineering, or culture that are on this site. The submission requirement is identification of those things, but if there is nothing, it's kind of weird, so I don't know. If you all suspect that there might be something there, we can dig into that, but assuming that there isn't.
Isn't it adjacent to that old building? I mean,
No, I mean-
it's a very historical area right there.
And that you're talking about the house that's on
Yeah.
the property, yeah, and that's still there, and that's not going anywhere. I
Do they own that too?
believe so. I
So,
believe it's the whole
Okay.
property. So, and I'm just talking about where they're proposing to put the driveway and like what they're disturbing under this application is. Okay, so phosphorus impact, that, I mean, it's not, there's no great ponds in Damascata, and they're not proposing any septic anyway. I don't need soil test pit logs because again, they're not proposing any septic. An estimate of the amount of domestic water that will be required. This parking lot, I can't imagine there's going to be any water that's being used, with the exception of fire, and we can talk about that. Then the next one is a plan for supplying water for fire protection. There is a fire hydrant that's like 900 feet away. But I think one of the conditions of approval maybe is review and approval by the fire chief. Again, it's a parking lot, so like, yes, cars can catch on fire, but it's not as though there's like people and you know, living there and things like that. So just having a fire hydrant within 900 feet may be sufficient, but I feel like deferring to the fire chief on that.
I might as well ask him.
I think that's everything. The only thing I wanted to check is just to confirm that there's no easements or covenants or deed restrictions on the property, but.
is this really? Is the purpose of this really for Maine Health?
I believe so, but at the same time, I think just to keep in mind, it's not like we're restricting who can. The town's not restricting who can park there and what it's used for. It's gonna be used for parking, and I believe that Maine Health is the one that wants to use it, but if the property owner wants to allow other people to park there,
So if you build a big parking lot and then you say, well, I want to build a building behind it later on.
well, they would, the building would be separate, that'd be all.
I know, but then you've effectively put the big parking lot in front of the building. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's
Well, the big parking lot's actually behind the building.
right. I mean, it's set pretty far back from this, I mean, relatively, so
Okay.
you could put a building in front of it. That is, I think, something that the ordinance does say the parking lots need to be set back, even when there is no building, they need to be set back, I imagine, in anticipation of the potential for a building to be.
There's also a limit in there of a distance from the street to a parking lot without a building in front of it.
Yeah, it basically, I think it says,
It's fairly minimal.
well, yeah, I'm pretty sure what it says is if. The standard is basically like the parking has to be behind a building. If there is no building, and I can check, I don't remember off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
if like,
then it's like, it had to be 50 feet back or something, so that you can,
it's not a very long distance.
no, no,
But
but this,
there is no
they're,
building there, you know, they're back there over 250 feet.
right, right, so. I think I think it's a fair point, to consider, when we get into like the buffer yards and things, that'll come up, but.
So what's the total amount of paved area?
Let's, why don't we,
Okay.
if you wanna.
Yeah.
Get the applicant up, we can
Okay.
ask them directly.
Got a board here, I can send it to you.
And I can pull up anything you sent over.
Sure.
It's me here.
Over here.
Oh, so there actually. There will be pavement.
My name's Craig Sweet. I'm with Teradyne Consultants. We're the civil engineers for representing 671 Main Street LLC there. So the project is a 100 space parking lot to support Maine Health. They already have some parking across the road at the Assembly of God Church, and they need some more parking. They've asked for about 100 spaces on this site if we could do it. So just extend their parking onto this site, let me see, I have. So we're looking to put the parking lot, it's about 400 feet back.
Patty, you wanna come up here so you can see this?
It's about 400 feet back.
Just get up here so you can see.
Where's Route 1?
Route 1B is right here.
Okay,
So we're about 400 feet back off there. This is the existing home that's gonna remain. It's at a rental right now. So it kind of curves in and comes back here. It's gonna be gravel. Right now we are about 0.9 acres of impervious of just gravel. And that is going to be, the site was forested earlier this year, but it's gonna be regrowth. So it's gonna be set back, and then this line here is what is proposed to be for the regrowth outside of any work that's gonna be done to grade and the site grading. Stormwater out there, these areas here are buffer areas, so it's gonna be swales to buffers. So it's all gonna drain and then hit the swale and go to the buffers, and it's gonna be forested buffers that will be deed restricted, so there can't be development there. And the whole site pitches about 2.5% this way. Some site electrical is gonna be brought up for light poles back here. They're full cutoff light. We did a photometrics plan there. Shows no light coming off. Okay, off there, about, I think they're 3,000 Kelvin, but they'll right to the town standards there. The proposed entrance is gonna be across from Belvedere, just so it's, makes more of a four-way intersection, if anything, and safer that way. We did site distance on both sides. It's in excess of what the town requires for the minimum there. And let's see what else. So, there was a question about building behind it. This line here is actually the break line between commercial and residential, so no commercial buildings could go behind it. As long as this zone line's here, so if anything, it would be a single family home, which is not proposed along with this, that has some other requirements for that. There is a stream and wetlands here that we're going to be crossing the stream, and impacting a small amount of the wetlands. It's under the DP threshold. We've been working with DEP. They had some questions, regarding, some of the wetlands there, and I've reached out to our wetland delineators, for that, to respond to that. So we've applied for that permit, and it will need a, Maine DOT driveway entrance permit, since this is a DOT maintained road, which, we need all the site distance for that as well, and that'll be submitted to them as well. It's a gravel drive with pavement to the right of way. 2% pitch off of the road with a maximum of like 6.5%, which is below the town's 10% for a private road. With a culvert crossing here for the stream. Trying to think what else we have in there. Now, another question on some snow storage, that'll just get plowed kind of into the ditch here, which will drain to the treatment areas, and then any sediment, so level of spritters, have 1.5 foot berm in front of them, so any sediment will be in there, that can be cleaned out in the spring and. So it won't be just deposited out and then be put back in the site itself. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's. That covers kind of like the general scope of it. Happy to talk through any questions.
Is there gonna be, any like islands in that parking lot?
Yeah, so-
Vegetation?
Yep, so we have, a row here with trees and then a row here with trees.
What do you mean? That's Eric Jensen's old house.
And,
Coming right in on the property.
It's gonna be like grass and trees and the lights are gonna be in those islands.
So.
And then around the edge, it's just gonna be
Yeah.
reforested, so it's gonna be
That's where.
largely screened from.
Yeah, clean it up completely. He
From
cleaned it
one
up.
once the trees regrow in those areas and now they're cut down, but the home here shields some of it and then.
Back 400 feet.
Is the parking lot
Yeah.
higher? What about what are the elevations, like the
Like a pretty.
parking lot versus the road?
It's a little bit higher.
So you're gonna be able to see it's gonna be kind
How they
of
do.
up, right?
A little bit,
Shoveling people from church.
probably a few feet, it's not like way up the hill, but it's.
Let's see.
Not like in Home Depot.
I would.
No, it's not, it's gonna be 7 feet below, so once tree regrowth, it's gonna be, you won't see anything through there.
Matter of distance, I don't even know how they figure all it.
I can give you some numbers.
It's down.
So the road,
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
I misspoke, it is below. The road is at elevation 80. And
I
then
don't
back in the
know
parking
what
lot
it is.
is around elevation 70, so it's pretty equal to the road, it's a little bit lower, but yeah, so that grading plan does show where the swales are gonna be there, which will be right here, and then the road will swale into that, which is a vegetative buffer. So it will be, I'd say it's about even with the road.
You have an 18-foot wide access drive on the shoulders. Made up of that as well. That seemed kind of narrow compared to like the subdevelopments that we do.
Getting pictures.
There's gonna be it's gonna be grass shoulders, yeah.
It's down there. No. What? Oh, I see. Okay.
And Mike, the other question that I had was, what dictates a designated turning lane? Is it the number of vehicles tripped into that time period or?
That's, you know what, that did come up in the
Yes.
ordinance, and I don't know if there was a hard and fast standard, so. We can discuss that, I think.
And it doesn't trigger main DOT's traffic movement permit stuff, but usually that is a threshold on their end for those turning lanes.
DOT.
Yeah, so theirs is 100 peak trips per hour triggers their larger traffic movement permit. And that usually beyond that, it triggers the turning lanes on their end. And this is it,
Only 100 parking spaces, so I can't imagine you get to 100
no,
cars an hour.
yeah, the peak was 29 or 30, 32, I think was the peak per hour. There,
And this is all going to be gravel,
yes.
kept gravel?
So this, Jenny, you were asking about the kind of elevation, and I mean, this is exaggerated, but Main Street,
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
so this is coming off of Main Street. We have 75 feet at 2%, and then it slopes down. This is 6.64%, and then comes back up at like 3.4. So it's good. You're gonna be set. This elevation 80, this elevation 70. So the parking lot's gonna be 10 feet below Route 1.
and it's how far, it's like almost 400 feet
A
back.
little over 400 feet. There's a curve in the road, so the road's a little over 400. From here to here is about 400. The setback line here is about 500.
Yeah,
So it's within that. It starts within there, so. It'll be set back decent enough from the road behind the home, and then once the trees regrow there more too, it's gonna be pretty pretty, unseen. You see the entrance drive and that turns, so you might feel like the boat's gonna be in there a little bit, that's about it. You're not gonna see a lot of it.
So are those like steep grades on the bottom right corner and the top of the?
Here,
Yeah, where the lines are close together, those steep grades, do they indicate? like-
yeah, there's a little knoll here, so that's gonna be, it's not,
Yeah, that,
it's not steep enough where we need erosion control matting, it's 3 to 1, which is, I would do a standard off of those. The parking lot is built up a little bit more over here than it is over here. Matches in pretty well over here, and then a little bit in that knoll, and then a little bit, maybe 5 feet up here, just to make it parking lot 2.5%, which is accessible for walking.
so it's gonna be, you have to be bringing in a lot of fill to this.
Not a lot of fill, you can take some from here and then, it's not gonna be a substantial amount, there's gonna be some fill involved for sure, but, it's not gonna be substantial.
Did someone mention, what the wetlands concern about?
So that was this email that I shared with you with that here. I just printed out the emails.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong.
So, yeah, I can speak to that. Maine DEP had some questions about the wetlands, and I've reached out to our the wetland delineator. We've had some mixed, rulings from DEP on what is considered a wetland of special significance with their adjacency rules. I've gotten told multiple times that once it's a forested wetland outside of those, there's no adjacency to a wetland of special significance, which would make it a regular wetland. So we're working to figure out what their adjacency rules are, clarified, because we've gotten mixed, from different DEP staff, we've gotten mixed results.
Did they say there were vernal pools?
There are vernal pools, but they are set back pretty far on the site. You pull up yeah, so there is a vernal pool in here. And then there was one back here, these two are vernal pools. And then that comes in way off, like, so this wetland is right here. And that wetland is outside of that buffer for the vernal pool, so that's all far back, not being disturbed as part of this, that's all gonna be observed from there. We're quite far from those.
Much, do you know what the frontage of this property is?
There's a table in there, I believe it's over 500, I believe.
It said, they could said 600 plus.
Yeah, I put in here,
Yeah.
600. I think it's not a perfectly straight
Yeah.
line, but
No, I mean, that we got 83, 160, 107, 127, plus another 550, so it's 500 to 600.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
it's the requirement for C2 is 100. So
Yeah.
it's obviously you've got
plenty of them,
plenty,
yeah.
but I just wanted to get it as close as we could. Okay, so I guess there's just a couple things. This is the proposal to build a parking lot, and the use would be parking as a primary use, which is allowed in C2 and rural as well, conditional uses. So it needs to go through site plan review, which is why we're here. But it's a little bit weird with some of the standards, because a lot of the standards assume that there's gonna be a building, and B, like all of the parking requirements also assume that there's a building. So parking obviously doesn't have parking requirements because it is parking, but there's just a bunch of I guess kind of performance standards and things. So We can go through,
Would the single family home be the primary use?
uh,
The secondary?
I
I
don't
was
know.
wondering that, I figured I'd ask.
Yeah, I don't know if, I would say that parking is probably gonna be the primary use. Um. But I guess that would
I just wasn't sure.
be up to the board. I mean, it just is, it's the more intense.
It is the more intense,
You know, so, and which is fine. Again, like I said, the parking as a primary use is permitted in these two districts, so. You know, it's fine, and I believe mixed use is allowed as well, so I don't think there's an issue with that. Um. So, okay.
Oh, and we did mail out the,
You did,
Notification,
yeah,
yeah.
that's, I thought did you send me the?
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
thought.
think I sent you everything for that, but, we can mail that again for next month too.
Yeah, that's, and like I said,
Happens.
there was an email that I sent that I guess, didn't get to the right people.
Okay.
Um.
Mhm.
This is not within the shoreline zone. If you look at our shoreline map, there is a stream there that they're crossing. But it's not a stream that like shoreline zoning sees, because it's not below the confluence of two streams that are identified on the USGS maps.
The,
So,
cannery there is shoreland. Back there.
yeah, and like this, the stream at the northern part of this that's in shore, oh, okay.
So what, could you just, on this map, where is the parking lot? Where's the parking? lot?
Yeah, so
Right, yeah, right there.
It's right there.
Yeah,
this line here,
is this line here.
so when you zoom in, yeah. So this is the stream that's not really a stream for shoreland. And this line here is the edge of the C2. And then this is the stream that's up at the top. We'll go back to that.
But it's connected to a shoreline zone. stream.
Yes, so, and I can pull up, so this was the stream that we were talking about, this is the stream that I was saying is not in shoreland. This is the line that just crosses the proposed parking lot, so it's like right here, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's a big, you know, they show the whole lot there, but. It's not on all.
Probably 700, 800 more feet.
Yeah, there's quite a bit back
That's a
there.
huge system.
And this stream here is, it's a perennial stream, so it's not, it's flowing basically in the wet seasons. Not all year round.
So you're crossing with a culvert or an
Yeah.
open?
Culvert, 48-inch with, 1 foot stream bottom mimic, which is standard DP crossing
Mhm.
for that.
So that is our shoreland map. So here's Belvedere Road, the driveway is would connect right about here. The parking lot, I'm guessing is right about here.
Cursor is, yeah.
And so this is the stream that is in stream protection. And then there's another, I guess, perennial stream that goes right around here that not shown on here. It's not,
And this line here is 75 foot off of that stream.
yeah. Now, important, I mentioned all of that because that's part of this email is that they're going for a NERPA permit and stormwater permit through DEP, and DEP has rules that we don't have about streams that are not in shoreland and all the other stuff. So just because we, the town, don't see it through shoreland, doesn't mean that it's not regulated or addressed. But like there's like limits that you can fill or whatever to cross as long as you don't go above a certain limit and all of that. So, I just want to make sure that that is hopefully clear-ish. Because that's, I think, is important. Okay, so. We're back to. Where? Let's see. The land use review was pretty, I think, straightforward, especially because it's kind of a weird use like this,
It's a little out of character
yeah,
for what we've been looking at.
yeah.
But it's, yeah,
But and then a lot of the requirements in the land use ordinance are regulation for this, but site plan review, so two things, one is driveways and entrance ordinance. Go to Andy for road commissioner, and it's gonna go through DOT as well for their review, and they're gonna have to permit the driveway entrance. But Andy will also look at this to make sure that it conforms with that driveways and entrance ordinance, not that the board shouldn't be thinking about that, and we'll get to that in the site plan review. So, let's see. Just going through here, so the parking lot, I think you mentioned, is about 0.9 acres of impervious, is that right?
Including the engine drive, yeah.
Including the entrance, and, but all in, this is disturbing 1.4 acres, is that
Yeah.
about right?
You got just under 1.5 with the grading limits on there.
Okay, and,
no percentage of that lot.
yeah, I mean, it's big, it's a big block.
Just about 32 acres.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so. Let's see, I put in here that there's a lot of. Oh. Maybe get into potential fixes, so, one of the standards is. A lot is greater than 3 acres is a 30-foot minimum buffer strip with undisturbed natural vegetation being maintained from the property line to the parking paved areas. The requirement is for side and rear lot lines that developments resulting in more than 50% of the parcel covered in impervious surface and or with a parcel size greater than 3 acres, a 30-foot minimum buffer strip is required. I don't know what to do with that. There's not really any vegetation on there. I guess it's, you're proposing to allow everything to grow back in outside of.
Yeah, it was forested earlier,
It was
later
clear
last year, yeah.
Yeah. So. There's, so yeah, here, everything, I guess, outside of that is. Your. So this. I don't, that's the standard. Thoughts?
What it's coming down too close to the property line?
Well, just it says for developments that are greater than 3 acres in parcel size, a 30-foot minimum buffer strip with undisturbed natural vegetation. The property line to any paving. To any parking / paved areas will be maintained. Is the standard. At least outside of the C1.
So how close is it? I mean, there's a berm area, but it should be undisturbed.
Yeah, and well, and this line here is that a 15-foot setback,
Foot setback, yeah.
so,
So that's 15 foot.
yeah. So there's not 30 feet there. I imagine. Well, frontage, that's a separate. It's a separate issue, and I think driveways can cut through it, but. So that is a potential. Issue for you all to consider. Air quality. The standard's kind of squishy. It's parking lot, obviously you're gonna have cars that are gonna drive there. They're not gonna be parked and idling, I wouldn't expect for too long, but. If you wanna discuss that or. Questions on that, please. Please do.
Cars go by there all the time.
Yeah, right.
How many, I'm trying to get a sense of the size of it, the scale. Like the Hannaford parking lot, is that like 200 spaces?
It's probably more than that.
Yeah.
But
I suspect it's close to 3.
I would think, you don't have any idea, do you?
I don't.
Yeah, like it's not something that you.
They usually have our use standard. But
Yeah, we can get one of these rows and then.
I wanna say the town standards, and I could be wrong, is like 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet of commercial area.
These are each 20, so.
It's about as big as. Hannaford's got what, 5 full rows, double rows of cars, so it's about as big as 2 of those.
Yeah,
So it's really not. Anywhere near the.
yeah, this is probably 2 to 3 times the size. Hannaford's probably 2 to 3 times the
I
size.
think
of
it's close to
this.
3.
Yeah,
3 times that. So especially if you had this piece.
yeah, right,
Yeah,
that
that
and
piece,
stuff.
not to mention the side parking down in here.
Yeah.
I was just talking about these 2 rows right here.
Right, cause that's 2 of these rows are probably like.
Pretty close.
To what's here. Cause they're about 20-25 each.
Or 25 each,
So-
so 2 is about 100.
Yeah. So,
So it's big as 2 of the rows in Hannaford.
Yeah.
And I believe they have, how many rows in there? You've got 3, so it's gonna be a little shorter. No, you got 2.
still,
You
yeah,
got 2, it's just configured a little differently, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, both sides of 2 of the roads at Hannaford.
so. Does that help somewhat? Okay, lighting and glare, you mentioned that the fixtures were full cutoff.
You're full blood off,
Full
yeah.
cutoff. And you mentioned that there were 3,000 kelvins of.
Yes,
of
yep.
color, which is good. Are they 18 feet tall?
I think they're the shorter ones, 'cause I think that's what, I think the town says
16 is the, yeah, the limit.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, I thought.
That's how, I know he said it was a bit different than he normally does the design for,
Okay,
shorter.
There would have to be limits on how. On the times that the lights could be on.
that's, yeah, that, it does say, and I don't see it in here, but I do recall somewhere that basically they would need to be turned off during non-business hours.
And what does that mean? If you're a parking lot?
That's,
So maybe they get turned off at 10 o'clock at night?
well, that's,
I
do
can,
you know what the schedule
I can
is?
confirm when I come back next time.
Yeah,
I would imagine I don't need it overnight, because I think there's the daytime stuff, but, I will confirm when I come, if I can resubmit before I come back for that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that. Cause if there is a reasonable time to just have them turned off,
Yeah,
that would be, that'd be good. The lighting, the levels, I believe parking lots, a maximum of 1 foot candle in the ordinance.
We need to fix that.
This is more, what you're proposing is, I think do you know what the highest point? So actually, it might be easier to read.
I know he said it was real tricky with the heights to get the.
Yeah,
Right.
that's, I know, so. Everybody else, with all parking lots, everybody's always asked for a waiver and the board's granted it, so, not to. Want to be absurd, but my understanding is in the past, basically, 1 is very hard to hit unless you've got. Lots of
You can't hardly see it, one.
dimmer, yeah, and. So,
I'm not sure. Okay.
I-
Very small, sorry.
yeah, that's. That's. I couldn't get it.
1.2, 1.6.
Yeah, I don't think it's, I don't. Need you getting up into like, let's see this, but,
And it's pretty close to the light poles where it's.
yeah,
And they're all angled inward towards the site. But, I know it's well within the limits on the boundaries of the property.
okay,
How many light poles are there?
There are 6.
so,
Are there light poles along the driveway too?
There are not, no.
It's, my computer's thinking. So, is a waiver of that standard something the board might entertain for the
Yeah.
lighting,
There's a plan for the correct.
the lighting plan? Yes,
And they have the lighting plan in here.
they do,
Yes.
yes, it's like, it's the last page, that's what I've got here. And yes, so that. We do have a lighting plan.
I probably wouldn't be able to see it on this anyway.
I know that they're pretty small, but. If you can, if it's not already on here. It'd be good to know what the maximum level is,
Yeah,
because. I think that,
I wanna say it's under 2, but I'd have to confirm.
yeah, and that's,
If
I
that's
don't
within
wanna-
the parking lot, okay with that, if someone over in the rest of the
right,
lot, I'd be.
No, there's no
encouraged
spillover.
for that.
We're 0 at the property lines.
okay, which is that's the requirement, and I think. Probably. Not something that the board wants to waive, but the 1.0 I know has been waived before. And especially if it's, you know, as long as you're not at like 10, 5 even, I think that. It wouldn't be unreasonable for the board to waive that, because that's happened. Done that before. So,
So there's gonna be a public, what, was he waiting to make? No,
What's that, Jenny?
there's gonna be a public hearing next,
yeah, I mean, I think that,
I didn't know if that person is.
Patty wouldn't, she lives just up the street from it.
yeah, and I know she asked about, but yeah, we can, I mean, we definitely can do. And Patty may not be gone, I think her Jack is still here. I mean, you can, if there is anybody who wants to make comments, you can always. Open it up to public comment, but I think your. My sense is that you all are intending to renotice and do a public hearing officially at the next
Yeah,
meeting, which
absolutely.
I think is the right call, but like I said, if you wanna open it up now, there's no harm in that.
Well, fine, but
Um,
we're right in the middle of stuff right now.
Oh, yeah, no, I just meant tonight if you wanted to, since I know if people come out, I don't want them to come out for nothing, so. Noise, any issues or concerns on noise? Parking lot,
Somebody starts making too much noise, they'll probably get arrested, won't they?
yeah, I mean, I imagine that could happen.
Yeah. It should be any noise in the parking lot.
Um. Okay.
Is this parking lot mainly gonna be used during daytime hours
I believe so, yes, yeah,
for day shifts?
I believe so, yeah. I'll confirm that with the lights at nighttime thing.
Right, and that's,
So do they have a shuttle?
Yeah, it's like a minivan, and they shuttle from across the road and just extend that up to here. I believe it's every 15 minutes or so.
yeah,
I think it's, and then we
50
have,
minutes, pretty.
this
Yeah.
area hatch here on there for people to kind of wait for that to come.
So on that, is it just like a hashed area, or is there any like shelter or anything like that?
It's just a hatched area, there's just like a striped area for that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So, the next thing was access to the site. You mentioned site, distance, are there any other? Any concerns from the board? I mean, it's all, I think, relatively standard, the drive aisles were.
Yeah, I mean, that's all.
24 feet, right, I mean, it's all,
yeah,
Have you got a good design plan on your stormwater management?
what's that?
A good design plan on your stormwater?
Yeah.
Where your water's going?
Yeah, I did a whole stormwater management report on there, yeah, I can go over that too if you'd like.
Do you guys wanna see that?
now, the other
Yeah.
thing with stormwater and erosion, the board is always welcome to, send it to the Knox Lincoln County Soil Conservation District for their review, because I am not, and I assume that you all are not, well versed in
No.
all of the water, stormwater management stuff, and so if that's something that you wanna do, cause it gets technical, that would be.
Well, I mean, they have certain standards they have to stand by. And they're considered owned property, they're probably gonna be doing the work. They should and do understand what needs to be done in that particular area. If you guys wanna do something different with that, I mean, that's fine.
That's, yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's-
interested in what your treatment
Yeah,
yeah,
is.
so why don't we go through that and then.
So we have two areas here. This area is a buffer and this area is a buffer with level spreader. So, are you guys familiar with level spreaders?
Yeah,
So you're gonna be changing. You're gonna be flattening that area, right?
We're not gonna be grading in these areas. They're gonna be at the natural slope of the land.
Okay.
Yeah, so and then, excuse me, so. This road is pitched both lanes are pitched towards the swale over here, which will go into the spreader, which has the depression and then the stone berm. This is sized to the lane standard by Maine DEP. And then this whole section here is pitching towards either the swale or right towards the buffers. And this is I think it's 115 feet wide long. It would be a stone lip there. Typically what we do is we find it's really hard to construct one over 100 feet, so we'll do 250 or 60 foot, because it's much easier to construct and keep it uniform. Then, so there's a split here with a berm that'll push into these two, and then it'll just go into the natural vegetation of the land. And that collects the majority of the site. And I did a pre and post watershed analysis of it. And I had the calculations for both buffer sizing in the report as well. So these are both sized based on Maine DEP standards for their best management practices. And then the down gradient, we have erosion control that runs all the way through. Right there, everything down slope is so either the silt fence or the filter bark, that's pretty standard for all meets Maine DEP standards, and then we have
That's just for construction.
yeah, that's just right, once it's stabilized, then that can come off, and then we have there. These are the standard erosion control notes that go on the plan, and then we also have them in a report form as well, like some housekeeping stuff, but so we have a standard for a construction entrance, which is 50 feet into the site, it's stone. It's so that way, if there's any mud tracking, it gets collected there. This is the standard for the berm and the spreader, we have silt fence there, the erosion control mix berm here. This is the detail for the stream crossing there, so it's a 48-inch with a 1 foot, you can see that kind of darker there, it's 1 foot of embedded soil that mimics what the stream channel bottom will be, so that way it's a continuous flow of the channel through that area.
What's the diameter of that?
48-inch, so 4 foot. And then that is the erosion control stuff on there, so. And this has standards for timings of planting and seeding and when to put erosion control matting on things and stabilization stuff and standard like cleanup and that kind of stuff.
And that all is in. You didn't say it's in there.
okay,
So most of the fill will come from on-site.
So yeah, some of it will come from on site and then
I mean, and you're gonna build up the parking lot. Is there gonna be a space or?
yeah, so we have yeah. More. We have the typical gravway section here, so it'll be built up if needed, so what soil will need to build up, and then we have a 18-inch sub base for it, and then we have 3 inches of like packed crushed stone on top. So they'll be scraping off, in some areas 21 inches there to get to the base of where they need to put the sub base gravel for the road, so. That'll be used as much on site to, in the areas where there's some fill. As needed for that. And then we also have the pavement section down here, will tie into DOT, so that area up in the front. For the exact dimensions was to the right of way line, so from Route 1B to the right of way. Will be paved to DOT standards. We have a stop bar there with the standard kind of stop line that'll be painted on there as well for safety.
Will it be gated at all?
No, there's no gate proposed.
I mean, I'm happy to go through the findings, but if there's anything that. Focus in on. Let's see, they talk about access to the site. We talked about traffic lanes, does it necessitate separate turning lanes? It sounds like DOT says no, the ordinance. Just says when it's necessary to safeguard against hazards to traffic and pedestrians. And or to avoid traffic congestion, so. I'm gonna say DOT thinks that there's no turning lanes needed. I don't see any reason to. Encourage turning lanes.
We should hopefully have that back from them by the time we come back next month.
Okay, great.
They're usually pretty quick at those turnarounds for those entrance permits.
Yeah. And I imagine I mean, you've got a pretty long driveway, so queuing, not an issue. that
Shouldn't
you're-
be, no.
Yeah. Okay, okay, the off-street surface parking lot placement, the parking lot. The standard is that the parking area is screened from review from the frontage. Street based upon affirmative showing, parking must be screened by appropriate landscaping from the frontage street. I don't believe, is there? Now you have. There's not really a landscape plan, right?
There isn't, no, there's, I show where the tree line is gonna be reestablished, but there, and, on the,
It
shows
shows
the trees in the islands.
Right.
But that is the extent of the landscape and proposals.
Where are the islands? Can you show me on
Yeah,
it?
they are. Here. And there is one here with 2 light poles, so there's trees here we're proposing those islands, and these ones have the trees, which.
So they're near the light poles?
The light poles are in the center, and then the trees are on the outside islands. And then
Okay.
these will be grass with the light poles on them, but,
And what kind of trees
we didn't specify.
or diameter? I mean, are they of any size or
I can,
little sticks?
I don't have one specified on there, so I don't have, I can specify one for next time.
Well, I mean,
They're
I'm
gonna
more
be,
interested in like the size, that, you know, what
Yeah.
it's gonna be.
they're gonna be,
Any-
they're not gonna be huge at the end of the day. I mean, they'll probably be like, we standardly see in a parking lot where they're like maybe 15 feet tall, cause you don't want the root system to get too big and then heave the parking lot, so it's but also you don't want, like you said, like a little 5-foot thing like that, cause that defeats the purpose of it.
So. The issue of screening, there was the issue of 30-foot buffer on the side. This doesn't say,
I mean, is there any way you can pull it up to give 30 feet?
you mean,
From the-
you
from
move the parking lot,
Yeah,
another, get it within the side lot line, now they're 15 feet.
I can look at that for sure, yeah.
I mean, that seems to be that's in the ordinance pretty clearly.
Yeah, it's set there because the wetlands are up top, but I can look at adjusting some things, so we're trying to stay as far back from the wetland as well up there.
Yeah.
Little steep, gets steeper as you get towards the left for the stream, so it's kind of how it led it to there. I could definitely.
Okay, and then as far as. Screening from the road or anything like that, I mean,
There was a limit on that.
Okay.
There's already a building in front of it.
This all talks about having building on it, that doesn't pertain to this, so.
well, this,
Plus
this,
it's back a long way.
yeah, and that's where. The,
I believe the limit on having to buffer that was under 100. Might even been 50.
you know, it's interesting, because then it also says parking lot should be set back a minimum of 15 feet from the lot line along non-frontage streets. Excluding alleys. Which, that's 15 feet, but somewhere else it says 30 foot buffer, so,
I think that's where we got the 15 there.
yeah, now that makes sense. And any pedestrian pathways or accommodations proposed?
No, so they're gonna be parking there and then going kind of like that drop off area, so it's just a standard parking lot layout for that.
Is that good with all you?
And I know shelter for the employees.
No, there's not one proposed right there, but. I just wait in their cars and then bring out that way. Bus comes.
Okay. Okay, so you did break up, that says each 40 space, a fraction there of parking area should be landscaped, whatever. Did break it up, it's like 25, I think is the longest row. So, and then what, spaces with a row, oh, no, that's 10. Have vegetated island soils or tree boxes. Tree box filter been incorporated into the proposed design. What's the landscaping, I guess, around those tree?
Just, we're proposing just lawn, but the whole thing. Pitches that way, so there's no curb or anything, it's gonna be lawn and then, it's a very gradual slope, right into like. Up to kind of like up towards there, so it goes into the swale and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so is this also gonna be gravel parking?
Yes.
Okay, so no curbs. Areas, landscape with curb medians, minimum curb to curb width of 10 feet. You have that?
They are, I believe they're 10 foot wide, but they're not curved,
They're not curved,
because we didn't wanna impede the stormwater flow.
And do you know the area says that each island, the required landscaping island is supposed to be 360 feet in area, square feet in area?
I don't know off the top of my head,
Okay.
I think it would meet that, the middle ones and the other ones are kind of just off out to the back, so they're kind of.
Right.
They have a lot more there, but I believe it all meets.
Okay.
I can provide those next time, with a hard number for that.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
that would be, I think, helpful. Got any questions from the board on that? Issues, thoughts, no? Okay,
They're supposed to be 350 the other day.
yeah. Okay, so this has a system of pedestrian ways appropriate to the type and scale of development been provided?
It's not foot access.
No, that's, I know, I'm going through these. and it's- Yeah.
It's a funny situation.
So, yeah, is the project required to link to offsite facilities or amenities with sidewalks and. Are sidewalks required to permit completion of, are sidewalks required to permit the completion of the comprehensive plan goal of a livable and walkable community? So there's just, that's all pedestrian circulation. Thoughts? Not applicable? Good. Existing public utilities, there's the only public utility or service I can think of would be the roads and, you know, with DOT, I think we're addressing that, but there's no water. I mean, nothing on site is gonna be, not gonna be any need for sewage, water, or, and you're gonna use electricity,
Yeah.
but I imagine it'd be fairly minimal.
Are they gonna be underground lines?
Underground, yeah, Gonna run underground up, there's a transformer up towards the road and run up underground.
Um. So, and then fire department, police department, solid waste program. I can't imagine it's gonna be anything major. Water quality, there's no aquifers or aquifer recharge areas that are identified in this area. You know,
Well,
make,
well, the
making sure.
area is a whole wet, you know, there's those resource protected wetlands right behind it.
Mhm.
I mean, the whole area is a wet marshy spot.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the back there for sure.
and so if the stormwater management is satisfactory, does that address the water quality? Potential water quality issues that might arise from this?
So the state has to approve it too.
Yes, well, yeah, I don't know, I mean, I guess they are gonna
You can't
deal.
approve something, they're gonna say, no way.
Well, you could approve it if it meets our standard, but then the state might say, no, it doesn't meet their standards, or maybe meets their standards, doesn't meet ours, but. Are a little squishy, so it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
But that's why I was, you know, so if assuming that it meets the, well, let's see, yeah, no, because you're going DP, you're going to DEP for stormwater and,
It is just a stormwater general permit is what we're going for, so they're not gonna be reviewing the calculations.
okay,
But, it doesn't even meet their threshold for a stormwater permit.
okay,
That would be the thing, it's over an acre, or over
right,
5 acres of disturbance to trigger that on a site like this. So
and this is under,
on their standards, we could, you can go up to 0.99 acres fully paved on a site and not trigger them.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm right, I know you're under that and under the 5 acre.
Yeah. So for them, we wouldn't even need to install the buffers at this stage.
Yeah,
Yeah, they wouldn't require any stormwater treatment at this level.
okay, all right. I don't know.
But we've designed it to their standards,
Okay. So. Any concern about the runoff from the parking lot? Specifically in terms of like water quality, and any concerns about the degradation of existing groundwater quality?
It's just raining.
I imagine, yeah, I mean. Okay, so stormwater management, her proposed development does not require DEP review under site location that we were just talking about. Less than 1 acre in area. And. Now, I put in here that you prepared the stormwater management plan, is that?
I did, yeah, so I did the full level that, like, if this was 1.1 acres of disturbance, I'd submit the same thing to DEP that I submitted here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be bigger buffers because it'd be more impervious, but,
Right,
if
But based on-
this hit their threshold, I'd submit the same thing to the town that I'd submit to DEP on this level. Yeah.
Now. In NERPA, are you the,
That's what those comments are going, so we've applied for the stream crossing, and then there's some confusion. Or we're trying to figure out if it meets some, the significant standards.
Right.
We've got the mixed feedback from different DEP employees on that, so we're trying to hammer it down with the wetland delineator.
fair enough? Okay, that's that's what I added here, that does require the NERPA permit. You haven't gotten that yet, and then. I mentioned before, the board may require peer review and endorsement of the stormwater plan. Calculations by the Knox Lincoln Soil Water Conservation District. Do you want to send it to them or? Take the applicant's word for it?
What do you think?
We did it with subdivision, standpipe. We sent it to Knox and. They handled it pretty well, I think. But. That is,
And they're gonna analyze what out of that?
you know,
The runoff, the water control,
Yeah,
distances to vernal pools, things like that.
I don't know if I'm gonna look at the vernal, because the vernal pool's all pretty far,
Yeah,
but
they would probably just looking at that runoff calculations I've done.
More than 250 feet.
Yes, it is.
the distance here, yeah, got it. No, they just are. I'm not qualified to look at that, I look at it and I'm like, okay, I see the shapes and the numbers and in my head, but.
Yeah,
So,
I think,
I think a third party wouldn't hurt.
I think it might be a good idea, just because it's in an area with a lot of wetland.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I think that's fair,
I'm all right with it. I just don't wanna make the decision by myself. Cause I can't.
No. Okay, then we can connect with them and that should be good,
They should have everything from what I submitted, that you can just forward back to them.
yeah, that's what I
kind of, I don't know.
figured,
I haven't worked with them before, but
no, okay,
work
it's,
with Cumberland counties.
that's,
Yeah.
that's who does it,
Oh,
so,
so Steve Baldwin down there.
yeah, I think that's exactly who does it.
Okay.
So he does it for Knox Lincoln?
Yeah, they basically, I think, I mean, the last, when we did it for Standpipe, they just had, pretty sure it was Steve Baldwin that did it, so.
Okay.
But they find someone who knows. It says, okay. Anyway, no retention or detention ponds, right, there's nothing.
Correct, no, the low impact development.
Okay. Doesn't include any water usage, okay, there's that.
And that's
Natural
all lawn, you know, in between the wavy line around the parking lot. Is that all grass?
Yeah,
I'm up here,
yeah,
So this is a,
I guess,
that's the.
that's tree line, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, and so is the intention that basically this will be as of today, if this, it got approved today and all that's gonna be left to revegetate naturally?
Yeah, yep, and then, so really the only areas that, you know, we really can't have revegetate is the swale areas. So the areas here, I have tree line at the end of the grading activities, but realistically, the tree line could be here. Cause it could be graded and then some trees could grow back in there. This area is the only area that has to remain kind of vegetated for the swales and maintained, but you probably wanna keep at least like 5-10 feet off, so branches aren't on cars and stuff, but
Right.
other than that, there's nothing restricting the tree line back there in terms of the grading work we're proposing.
But at least, so, I mean, we could assume that to the tree line could be cleared, it may not be that,
Yeah, and that's the 1.4 I had outlined there.
okay. That makes sense and.
Okay, can I address the 30-foot buffer thing for a
Yeah.
second? Adjacent to that area. There is a power line,
Yeah, that runs
and
just.
it's a property that belongs to Miles Healthcare.
does the
Yes.
power line run right along the,
Right along
The line?
right along the line. Well, that's-
Close, it's
Yeah, close, it's real close.
It should be, it'll be on the historic plan there.
It is, yeah.
Can't remember, it's right on it or right, I think.
It's very-
Line.
Yeah,
It's close.
that's, let me see if I can get this to respond, maybe.
You can see it right here. That would be the easement, the CMP easement, I believe.
oh, so it's down there.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, you're probably 50 feet off the property line. There's the CMP easement, which is
Pretty close.
Yeah,
They've got it cut right out there pretty big time.
yeah, and then that property here is, this is owned by Maine Health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So their property line is this.
So how come Maine Health isn't putting that parking lot on their own property?
They don't have frontage here.
Okay.
This site has the
They
frontage.
don't have frontage, alright.
Mm-hmm.
In here it says such buffers shall be a minimum of 30 feet width and such additional width. Which the judgment of the board may be necessary to shield incompatible uses from ordinary view.
Mhm.
So it's dealing with incompatible uses, determines the adjacent uses or accessory uses. Where the board determines that adjacent uses or accessory uses are incompatible a buffer may be required along every property line to shield incompatible uses or accessory uses from one another.
Yeah, so that was one of my
So
questions was.
I don't,
Do you feel that this is an incompatible use with
I don't,
something, anything around it?
well, you kind of raised my hack a little bit when you said that.
What?
I don't think it's,
Oh,
I don't, I got concerned about it.
uh-huh.
So I don't think that it's an incompatible use. I mean, you got a power line adjacent to it. That 15 feet will remain vegetated on that side.
Yeah, it's just graded, I can definitely pull that tree line up, but it's gonna be vegetated. I just had the tree line up because of the we're grading, but there's no swales on that side, it's just all pitches towards there, so it could be tree right up to it.
All right,
It could be, yeah, the property line could be. Showed it. Here, we are doing some grading, but it's not gonna be like a slope where trees cannot grow, so it could really just be graded and then revegetated right up. Along the edge there.
Does it have to pull back at least 15 feet?
Well, that's, I
I mean,
said
from
there's,
anything, you know what I mean,
um,
minimum, I mean, isn't that the,
it's not really, it's not entirely clear to me. This is where it's like, the board's role as interpreter of the ordinance has to,
because you know, a slope like that would be considered kind of like a structure. It's an alteration to the landscape, a major alteration.
um, sure, I don't think it would be a structure, but I think that there's just there's a couple standards that don't quite square up with each other. One is, it has to be, there's like 15-foot setback. And then there's this language, and there's a bunch of different, for buffer areas, there's language like, is a landscape buffer strip required to visually screen the parking lot use from the abutting residential use? Is it necessary to protect any body of water from sedimentation and pollution caused by the proposed development of a parking area? That's also something that the ordinance culture buffers on. 100-foot buffer required from Route 1, from like real Route 1. Let's see, roadside buffer in C2 district, except as described in different section of vegetated buffer of 50 feet deep, or 20% of the lot depth, whichever is less. So there's just like all of these different ones, and it's not, at least when I read it, it's not entirely clear, like, what's this for, what's this from? So I'm just, I kind of can throw it out there and see what your thoughts are on it. I think 15 feet is probably the minimum, but you probably got some flexibility, like it basically says like if the board feels like it can have a bigger buffer. I don't. 15 feet. So. That's kind of where you all land is.
I think that was designed for buildings and projects.
But some things are allowed within 15 feet. Like I think some things are allowed
Some
within
things are.
15 feet.
Yeah, well, so one thing I can tell you is like setbacks in, at least the way that they're written right now in the site plan review is pretty sure it's defined as the distance from a building to the property line. I don't think it's from any just like structures, I think it's specifically buildings, and I don't know. And I can look and see if there's any, like, what the hard and fast things are that say like.
What's your setback from the edge of the parking lot to the property line?
Edge of the parking lot itself, probably around 20-25 feet from this edge of the parking lot. This is 15, and this is probably, it's not quite 15, I'd say it's probably, you might be 25. Right there to the edge of this stall.
The 15 and they put a tree buffer there. To me, that meets the. I mean, if it was a building, we'd say 15 feet, so.
And it's not an incompatible use here,
Correct.
and it's going right up against basically the power line.
Yeah. Well, there is a little bit that, it's interesting, the power line corridor, which I don't even know if they clear all of it, but that corridor there's another, I don't know. 15, it's not parallel, but there's more space between the property line and the power line, which. I don't know, I think we could put anything there, it was gonna be kind of awkward, not that they couldn't, but. I mean, property lines could move,
Oh, they have no power line.
well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so. And like, unfortunately, like, this is a not quite a hard and fast, like, the setback is this and nothing's allowed to be within that distance. There's also these other setbacks, so,
And what kind of drove the placement here is this stream, the 75-foot setback, trying to stay off of there and then. Fitting in, the 100 spaces and then having this wetland here, so this is, the grading is, no, we don't want to impact that, so the grading kind of comes around and. That's kind of what kind of pushed into that zone to. Avoid any wetland.
Really can't shift it north anymore to gain any more there. I mean, 20 feet is, to me, more than.
Yeah,
that's why you're all here. Okay, so it sounds like buffer yards, at least right now. We're good. I know you mentioned a stop sign, are there any other signs, well. Other than like traffic control signs?
No.
There's no sign.
no, just a stop sign out there.
And is there anything else as far as traffic control, like one way or?
No,
Is it even one way?
it'll be two-way, and we have a stop bar and the stop sign here.
Okay, and then like as far as circulation in the parking lot, can go both
We
ways.
can go both ways, we have 24-foot aisle strips for adequate backing in and out, and then, 9, 18 stalls.
Building appearance, there's no buildings, it's not a large scale development. Think that is pretty much it. Sure, any issues that you see that we haven't touched on yet?
Well, plenty of space anyway, but just out of curiosity, is there a portion of it that's dedicated to snow removal or push it off to the side?
It's gonna be pushed into the swales here most likely, and then that will filter any sediment that's in there, we'll be able to take out the spreader that you have the dip, and spreaders have the dip as well, so that'll keep it clean and not run off onto the site.
Okay, so. Is there any other items I know I will look into? See what, if there's anything hard and fast in buffers, but it seems like. What's here is where it's generally okay with, but I'll look to see if there's anything that's
I just double check it.
specific.
I'll take a look myself.
Lighting details, we can make sure we nail those down. Um. And then we gotta renotice for a public hearing. Not jumping bad about a public hearing, I just,
Does the second one come out this week?
what was supposed to be the second one, which shouldn't have been in the newspaper, but there was no first, so.
We got time now.
So, yeah, that's, I'll make sure that we.
Redo it.
Redo it. Now, the question is, okay, should we re-mail,
Oh,
do we need a mail notice to the abutters? Or just do the newspaper again? Should we just do the whole thing again? That way it's clean and.
We can remail it.
Yeah,
Remail,
yeah, that's what
I've got all this stuff, you just change the date on it.
that's, yeah, unfortunately.
Right,
That
that way everyone gets it, so they need it.
yeah. All right, so then, as far as documents still needed. Do you all feel like the requirement is demonstration that the project will comply with applicable noise and air quality standards? Do you feel like is there anything additional you might need to make that determination? For noise and air?
No.
I go, has a problem with noise there.
And then a scenic assessment and landscaping plan for the site consistent with the recommendations of the Damerscott comprehensive plan.
I mean, one of my concerns is just introduction of invasives, you know, when you're clearing so much land right next to a big wetland system. But maybe it's just all hopeless. You know, you're gonna
It's
have,
already cleared.
and well, you're gonna have purple loosestrife everywhere. I just, you know. That's why I was talking about like how much soils can be brought in from outside.
Right.
Just trying to minimize that somehow.
And the applicant does own some pits in town as well, I know, so it's local, everything's local.
Well, I know, but we have our own local invasives, but
Yeah.
it's just a really great, you know, wetland system behind it.
It is.
I mean, it's a really special spot.
Yeah.
I
I know
want
there's
to
some
watch
version
us go
stuff
down
in the back.
School Street. Go out of the project.
Oh, yes.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
To
To
the
the
nursing home,
nursing home.
or, yeah, memory care. Okay, oh, sorry, are there any easements or covenants, speed restrictions that are on the property that are
No.
relevant to this?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay, so then that, I think, addresses everything that that I had.
How old is that house?
I think it's,
Like seven,
I think 1700 something,
1700s.
yeah, I don't think it's not a registered historic place, we're staying away from it. And we're not digging up near it, it's gonna be a little bit of fill over there, I wanna say it's mid 1700s, but I don't know if that's.
I don't know anything about that. Do you?
I know we used to have own that way back.
About that.
Recreational?
Like a little kid, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, when he owned everything up to NC, still, you know,
Right now it's being rented, long-term rental.
How often will the shuttles come?
I believe it was about every 15 minutes, half an hour,
Do they do that all day?
so, yeah. Mostly on shift changes, I think then that slows down in between, but
Okay. That's
I think
that's pretty.
I think they only have a number of calls we come out, so it should change. I can double check that.
I'm just actually curious, because that's pretty good service.
It
Yeah.
seems like they have an insatiable appetite for parking at Main Health. I
Yeah,
mean, how many
A lot of
employees do they
people.
have? Like,
I don't
Thousand?
know.
you know, or
I worked on some other stuff, for them in Portland and in those areas and just, they always need parking.
well, I know, we've
Yeah.
approved quite a few parking plans for them.
Yeah,
keep growing.
okay, I don't have anything else. There's just some details we'll nail down. Yeah. I imagine,
So this is a sketch plan presentation or?
no, I mean, this is that, application review, but. It was only so far we can go because
Okay.
the public hearing.
Right.
Plus, there's a couple things, but there's a couple just like details that this gives us an opportunity to nail down. Plus the stormwater review by Knox Lincoln, so. And maybe do you think you'll have the nervous stuff sorted out possibly?
we should have clarification on what way it's going for that, yeah, definitely. I'm communicating with the. Well, guy, he
Yeah.
kind of told us Friday on that stuff, into that curveball.
Okay. Yeah, very. Okay. Okay, but that's good, because then maybe we actually can get this all squared away and not to do like a condition on their approval.
Yeah.
So, anything else that you all?
That pretty well, I think.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
You provided all the information you needed.
I try to do everything I can, I shoot for gas.
Okay. Thanks, and I will be in
Yeah.
touch, and yeah, everything's squared away.
Thank you again.
Got just a couple updates for you all. There is, we're having, I mentioned to you, the town's doing the PPI, the planning partnership initiative with DOT about Main Street from Bristol Road north up to where it reconnects Route 1. And Emerson, who you've all met, she has been putting together a presentation and contacting stakeholders, property owners and business owners along that corridor to set up some stakeholder meetings, one of which is tomorrow, and I think there's another one in it's either next week or the week after. Plus, we're gonna do a virtual meeting on that.
So. When is the one, when and where is the one tomorrow?
The one tomorrow.
I mean, is the general public invited? or
Yeah,
is it-
it's not-
Is it more just
It's
stakeholders?
just so we're having two in-person meetings for stakeholders specifically.
Okay,
Not that it's closed to public, anybody can come, it's a public meeting, and then a virtual one as well. So there's one that is tomorrow, it's, I believe, for the. Basically from like Biskie Road south is tomorrow, and then next week we'll have one that's Biskie Road north. That's next Monday evening. And then we're also planning on doing two, just like public engagement meetings, probably virtual one as well. Probably, maybe around beginning of April. I can get you the exact details. We haven't put like notice and stuff out for that yet. We're getting close to that.
you'll make sure we all know.
Yeah, exactly. So these first two meetings are not, they're geared towards, want to know like the businesses and people who will be directly impacted by whatever changes and construction that's happening there. There will be two that's for the general public, and then there is one that is gonna be led by, this is in addition, so like there's a fifth meeting that's gonna be led by Sebago Technics, who's the consultant that is working with the town. And their contract, the actual PPI officially includes like one public meeting with them and then another public meeting, in the beginning, and then another public meeting with them at the end, which will be, so that first one will be in May, and then the next one will be in September probably. They're the ones who are actually working with the design, but we decided to do these stakeholder and public workshops before this May Sebago meeting, because we wanna make sure we hear what everybody wants and needs, and one meeting to discuss that whole corridor with Sebago and the public, which I don't think would be sufficient, so we're doing that. So anyway, so that's starting, and keep your eye out for those public meetings. We'll make sure that it's probably put it in the paper and put it on the website and, tell everybody. And then more directly with you all, I'm trying to put more time and effort into updating the ordinances, the land use and site plan and subdivision. Especially following the comp plan approval. Now we've got the implementation committee starting to roll on that. Now, obviously, it's all gonna go through you, so it's not, I'm not trying to cut anybody out, but in an effort to be more efficient and not waste all of the time at the meetings, do any of you have any interest in doing some work on that outside? I'm happy to run with it and pull in whoever I can and bring stuff to you in the meetings, but I also figure if any of you are particularly interested in any part of it or all of it, that a working group could be productive.
Well, I'm always interested in ordinances, what I mean, just.
Yeah, so that's, and hopefully I'm gonna kind of put it out to the implementation committee as well. So I put that out there to you all, if anybody is particularly interested, as it gets going, and I'm starting to like work on the specific aspects of it, I'll let you all know, and if you have thoughts or wanna, set up a meeting, we can do that.
Or have a little workshop.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I was thinking, like kind of a workshop thing, and so keep that in mind if you would like to.
Would it be with the implementation committee or?
Probably that's at this next meeting, which I emailed you a little while ago. that's what I wanna talk about, because the implementation committee. Ideally, will form some working groups. One is gonna be just about housing, one is gonna be for this PPI project, and then. One is hopefully for the ordinances, because they gotta work on those and get it done, so. Hopefully the next meeting I'll have some kind of like. Outline roadmap about how we're gonna go about the ordinance changes. I mean, I've got a lot of it that's bouncing around. I just need to. Probably write it down so someone else could follow it. And. You all using the ordinances so much, I figured. You'd be good people to be involved with it if you're interested and want to volunteer more of your time, so. So that's where those things are, and I think that's kind of it. There's a bunch of stuff going on, but. I think that's most of it for you all.
You see a bunch of stuff going on, like what?
What, are the developers banging on the door?
Well, I do have a meeting with the Developers Collaborative who had done the 36 units that was at Ledgewood Court. That fell through, or it seems like that's fallen through, and now they might wanna do solar there, so I don't know, I think I have a meeting with them on Monday. There's. There's the housing stuff that I know Andy's. Working on. Yeah,
Just keep it open.
yeah, that's,
Whatever, you don't have to go into it. Big
Okay.
detail.
okay,
We good?
great, I'm good, if you're
Can I
good.
make a motion that we disband?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Good, everybody all in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even that, which one is someone? Right.
All right, thank you
That's
all.
not just, let me.
One more day of this crap, I'll start warming up.
Is that? Oh, thank you.